Hello there. Just wanted to help someone else out with CISSP. I just took the exam. I passed. I used a lot of mnemonics to help me in that process. Ideally, you just want to know this stuff like the back of your hand, in your blood, and just embedded in who you are. The reality is when you start taking the test that some of the questions get you all mixed up. So my goal is to give you some mnemonics that will help you in this process. So then when your mind starts kind of spinning around during the test, you just go back to what you know and make this real easy. So just wanted to share this. Hopefully it'll help someone out there. Yeah, so let's go on with this. So the first one we're going to cover is the false rejection and false acceptance rate. So the acronym that you'll see is FRR for false rejection rate. So that's basically the right person you did not let in. So the way I picture this, actually rewind just a bit. So for some of these memory techniques, I know it feels silly, but close your eyes, picture it. That's why I'm doing this as a video instead of just letting you see it written down. That way you can actually close your eyes. You don't have to try to read it. You can picture it. And this really helps a lot. I've done a lot of memory courses. A nod to Jim Quick. He does some fantastic memory courses out there. If you haven't heard of him, go check him out. He's got a book called Limitless. Great stuff. So, but get back to false rejection rate, FRR. So the way I picture this is RR, railroad station. It's the right person, but you didn't let them in. So I'm trying to pick up my friend, but I'm at the wrong railroad station. So I'm at the train station. I'm waiting for my friend. He goes to a different location. I didn't let him in. I didn't pick him up. So that's the right person did not let him in. Wrong location, basically. The alternative to that is FAR, false acceptance rate. That's where you let someone in that's not supposed to be there. If you let a terrorist get into your building, for example, that would be embarrassing. So FAR, you want to be far away from that problem. You want to, when your coworkers find out you let a terrorist in, you want to be far away from everyone. You don't want anyone to know that happened. So that's far. Wrong person, you let them in. Far, like you want to be far from the memory of that happening. So next one I'm going to cover is symmetric encryption. And this one, we've all heard the 32 braids, right? 32 braids. That helps if you know what all the encryptions are. But if you don't, then it's not super helpful. So I'm going to walk you through what they are. So I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to recap what the significance of that is. So close your eyes, picture it if you can. I want to fish. No, I don't want to fish for anything. I want to fish for blowfish, like these fish that expand, the blowfish. But I can't because there's a sea serpent in the way. Now, how am I going to get past this sea serpent? Wait, I have an idea. No. Actually, I have ideas. 3 ideas to be exact. I have a 6-pack of RC Cola. You can picture the 6-pack of cola, picture that says RC on the front. What I'm going to do is I'm going to throw 3 cans at the serpent, and I'm going to keep 3 cans for myself. So basically, what does all that mean? That's my story. It's done. So walk through the encryption. The first line of that, I want 2 fish for blowfish. 2 fish is a form of encryption. Blowfish is a form of encryption. Okay. The next line of that is, but there's sea serpent. But there's a sea serpent. Now, sea is a word AES spelled backwards. Now, AES is a form of encryption. Why is it spelled backwards? It's actually the best encryption as far as symmetric encryption. So that's why it's different from the rest. So sea and then serpent. Serpent is also a form of encryption. So we have 2 fish, blowfish, sea, AES, serpent. I have an idea how to get past the serpent. I have an idea. Idea is a form of encryption. Wait, I have ideas, more than one ideas. DES is a form of encryption. I have 3 ideas to be exact. 3 DES is a form of symmetric encryption. I have a 6-pack of RC Cola. RC6 is your last form of encryption that you have to worry about. So those are the 6. I want to fish for blowfish, but there's a sea serpent. I have an idea. Actually, ideas. 3 ideas to be exact. I have a 6-pack of RC Cola. I'm going to throw 3 at the serpent and keep 3 for myself. Symmetric encryption, both people have the same amount of things. So the secret has 3 colas, we have 3 colas, you have the same. So that's basically the significance there. All right, so now let's cover asymmetric encryption. There's basically 3 forms of asymmetric encryption that you need to worry about: ECC, Elgamal, and RSA. So the way I picture it, just one quick sentence. I want to do an European cross-country camel race, which is very slow, right? Just picture, close your eyes. I know it feels silly. I'm sorry, but this does help. Just picture yourself in Europe. Pick whatever country you want. Maybe London. Maybe you're on a camel going down through London in a race. So a European cross-country camel race. So European cross-country ECC, camel. It's enough to help you remember El Gamal. Spelling of camel and Gamal is very similar. The race, RSA. And which is, camel race is going to be slow. Asymmetric encryption is slow. So that's the connection there. Now move to key exchange. Key exchange has 3 of the same attributes as asymmetric encryption. They have ACC, Elgamal, RSA, but they also have Diffie-Hellman and IPsec. So the first 3, so I picture it, the first 3 are the same as the European cross-country camel race. We have that. But at the end of the camel race, they stream the winners exchanging keys to open a locked chest of Hellman's mayonnaise. I know, it's goofy, okay? But just remember that they finish their camel race and they stream exchanging keys, which is basically internet key exchange. That's the connection there. To a locked chest of Hellman's mayonnaise, Diffie-Hellman. So those are the acronyms there. So let's move over to hashing. Hashing, we know there's RIPE-MD, MD5, SHA-10 through 3, and Havel. So the sentence here, so close your eyes, picture this. As much detail as you possibly can is helpful. So in Maryland, they have ripe watermelons. So just picture yourself in wherever you want to picture in Maryland. What's the first place that you think of when you think of Maryland? Is it Baltimore, for example, if you want to think of being at the Baltimore Aquarium? But just picture yourself there. Picture yourself with a huge watermelon. It's so ripe, you can smell it, you can taste it. So they have ripe watermelons at the Naval Academy. So there's a lot of places in Maryland that are by the water. So picture maybe a boat of some kind. You can picture people dressed up in naval garb all around you. But the watermelon is so big that you have to share it with 0 to 3 people. That's how much watermelon there is. You have to share it with up to 3 of your friends. And honestly, some people, watermelon, some people like to put salt on their watermelon. So that's the sentence. I'll read it without sidetracking on that. In Maryland, they have ripe watermelon at the Naval Academy. They're so big that you have to share with 0 to 3 people. And some people choose to salt their watermelons. So what's the significance of all that? So in Maryland, the abbreviation is MD. So I think MD 1 through 6 is the encryption for hashing. They have ripe watermelon, and ripe MD is another form of encryption. So I think ripe MD. The watermelons are at the Naval Academy, and Naval is close enough to Havel in my mind. It was enough to make that connection. I was able to pull that out. They're so big that you have to share share with 0 to 3 people. So you have SHA-0, SHA-1, SHA-2, SHA-3. And some people like to salt their watermelon. So you actually salt a hash to add complication to it, to add confusion to it. So just remember, salt goes with watermelon, salt goes with hashing. All right, another mnemonic that we have is WAF, W-A-F, Web Application Firewall. Basically, a web application firewall keeps things kind of confined in their spaces. It helps to protect against SQL injection, cross-site injection, things like that. So the way I think about it is waffles. I mean, we've all had waffles, right? They have the individual squares. So when you're pouring the syrup in, the squares, or the squares keep the syrup from pouring into other regions. So that's how I think a waffle contains internet activity. So in one little box. So that's the mnemonic there. Another thing that is out there that you could see is Wasana agreement, or I'm sorry, Wasana arrangement. It's a dual use, it's a dual purpose arrangement. And the way I remember that is I think of that old beer commercial. I don't even remember. Miller Lite or Coors Light, one of those. The what's up? That stupid commercial. But when I see what's up arrangement, I think about what's up. It's both. It's dual purpose. It's funny. And it's also annoying. So it's really dual purpose. So let's talk about three forms of NDA. There's three forms of NDA, and it's bilateral, unilateral, multilateral, and BUM. So I just think I'm bummed that there's three forms of NDA. I wish there was a lot more, but there's only three. Bummed, BUM. The next one is the three types of SLAs, which would be multi-level, service-based, and customer-based. And the way I remember that is it's music to my ears, that there's three forms of SLA. MSC, music. It's just music to my ears. So for ISO, there's a few different ISOs to concentrate on. The first one is ISO 2700. The way I see it is, it's basically, I see over 2,700 security issues. They're all over the place. This is basically a way to identify security issues. The next one is ISO 27001. But thankfully, these are the solutions to it. Thankfully, we have 27001 solutions. So 27,000 problems, 20,001 solutions. So that's the connection between those two. And then ISO 27005, that's the document about fixing the solution. So I think about, we only have 5 business days to address these risks, because usually when you have someone that gives you a problem, they only give you a week to fix it. They don't give you too much time. So ISO 2705, we have 5 business days to address these risks. So let's talk about some of the other kind of forms here. PSI DSS, you've heard of that. It's basically a way of protecting credit card information. The way I think about that is the old PCI cards. I don't know if you've built computers, but it used to be that like modems. I know I'm dating myself there, and video cards back in the day. They used to all be PCI cards. So I think we have PCI cards, PCI DSS. Go with credit cards, PCI cards. That's there. Another one is PHI, which is along the lines of medical, protecting medical information. I think we all know that HIPAA is associated with medical. I think most people have a grasp on that. So PHI is actually the first 3 letters of HIPAA mixed up. HIP, PHI. So that's how I remember that. So PHI is medical, HIPAA is medical. They have the same 3 letters. Pipe MD is associated with Canada. Now I'm in Virginia here. I actually grew up in Alaska. So the way I remember that is, if I wanted Alaska has pipelines of oil, right? And so if we wanted to have a pipeline of oil from Alaska to Virginia, or anywhere else in the United States, really, you'd have to have a pipeline that goes through Canada. So when I think pipe DA, there's a pipeline would have to go through Canada. So I associate Canada with pipe. So there's that. And then GLBA is associated with money. So I think about GLBA as being a gold brick. It's not exact, but it's close enough to remember. Gold brick, GLBA. All right, now there's several NIST 800 things that you might have on your exam. So I'm going to walk you through about a dozen of them. There's more out there, but I think these will get you where you need to go. These are the ones I have mnemonics for, so hopefully these will help. So the first one is 800-30. 800-30. It's basically about end of life. The way to remember that is Windows 3.0. I don't know if anyone has actually dealt with Windows 3.0. I imagine most people have probably heard of it. It's old. It's end of life. 3.0 is so old. Windows 3.0. So 800-30, Windows 3.0, end of life. The next one is 800-37, which is RMF for U.S. government. And I think about the tax rate. So the tax ratio, you pay about, what, 30% on taxes, give or take. I mean, it fluctuates, but it's a rule of thumb. So I think about RMF 3.7 is going to be, you pay 30%, you get to keep 70% of your income. So the government takes 30% and you get to keep 70%. That's my connection there. 800-39 is RMF corporate. And I think about the top 3 tech companies rule about 90% of the market. Like you think about Apple, Microsoft, Linux. You think about those 3, for example, or other tech industries. Generally about 3 tech companies rule 90% of their market. So 3.9, that's the connection there. The next one is 800-40, which is patch management. I think about kind of the cliche age when men start losing their hair is around 40, give or take. I still have mine so far, but 40 patch. I think about men, they have patchy hair when they get 40. Like it starts receding in the front, a little friar tuck thing in the back, just so 40 is patches of hair when you turn 40. The next one is 800-50, which is awareness training. I think about that, a lot of those awareness training things that we have to take each year. You generally have a 50-50 chance of getting it correct, meshed right and correct at the same time. So you flip a coin, true or false, 50-50. You have a 50-50 chance of getting it right. So your cyber awareness is 800-50. You have a 50% chance of getting it right. The next one is 800-53, security controls. I think about 5 points on a star, what the star looks like, and a 3-point triangle. So see each area of your CIA triangle to get a star. So that's basically what I picture there. 5 points, 3-point triangle. The next one is 800-63, which is credential management. I think about, generally people retire around 65. I think it's 66, 67. But at 63, Bob is getting ready to retire. So he's looking forward. So he needs to pass on his credentials to someone else. So 863 is credential management. Bob's going to have to pass his credentials on to someone else because he's about to retire because he's 63. 63 credential management. Credential management. So the next one is 886. I don't know if anyone's ever worked at a restaurant. 86 means you're out of stock of something. You're out of something. So 86 is basically you're out of stock. Bacon. Who used all the bacon? We're on 86th bacon. So you do a forensic examination to find out. 86, you're doing a forensic examination to find out who took all the bacon. Bit of a stretch. It's enough to remember though. 800-88 is sanitation of data. So if you wanted to sanitize a document, what do? You write 8s over the whole document because it's harder to read. So 88 is sanitation. You write 8s over all the documents. 800-92, I think about 92 Doogie Howser. There's a little TV show. He would actually create a blog. He would, at the end of each show, he would type down his thoughts on everything. So I think about him blogging. So 800-92 is about logging. Doogie Howser blogging. It's enough to connect the two. 800-115 is about pen testing. The way I think about this, I know it's goofy. If I think about the ones, 115 looks like you're trying to balance two pens upright. Can you do it? Then the 5 looks like a dollar sign. So the idea is if you can balance the two pens, then you get $1. You get money, whatever it is. So the pen test is to balance two pens for a reward of money. Again, it's goofy, but it works. It helps. The next one is 800-171. The way I picture it, if you think about 171, 171. So it looks like when I picture it, oh, sorry, this way, maybe? Yeah, sorry, I'm doing it stage way. The way I picture the 7, it looks like the 7's actually peeking through the 1s. Now, 171 is about CMMC compliance. So basically, CMMC compliance, generally a third party is auditing you. So they're looking through your books. They're looking through your information. So when I think 171, I think about a nose poking through a book, going through your books to see if you're compliant, going through your information, looking into your business. So 171 is CMMC. So the next one's 192. The way I picture this is your home router is generally, the IP is 192.162.1.1. I think that's probably most people's. But this one is about trusting. So I think your 192 is your access control is what this is about. I think about 192 as being this is your home. These are the people that you trust, people in your home. So that's access control. Those are the people I trust. So those are my connections for NIST 800. All right, so single loss, you probably heard of sleeve F maybe. Single loss expectancy equals asset value times exposure factor, SLE, AVEF, sleeve F. It's kind of helpful, but when you sit down an exam, sleeve F is not going to mean anything to you. You need to know what those stand for. So it's single loss equals asset value times exposure factor. My connection here, when I was single, the biggest fear I had would be exposing my assets. Sorry, a little crass, but that's the mnemonic here. So single, your single loss, your fear when you're single is accidentally exposing your assets. So single equals asset times exposure value. Between the mnemonic and sleeve F, you can piece together what the equation is and what it actually means, so that helps. Another one that you've heard is ALE, A-L-E equals S-L-E times A-R-O. SLERO is what we've heard. The way I remember that is drinking ale makes me either sleepy or arrogant. Drinking ale equals sleepy or arrogant. So that's my mnemonic here. Now, probably my favorite mnemonic that I've come up with is the threat modeling. So there's threat modeling. There's 6 areas. There's information disclosure. There's elevation of privilege. There's tampering. There's spoofing, denial of service, and repudiation. So this one, I picture the movie Elf. Buddy the Elf, Will Ferrell. You've probably seen it. But if you can come up with this connection. So the acronym is STRIDE, S-T-R-I-D. So every one of those letters stands for every one segment of this segment. So it doesn't make sense, but just stay with me. So the way I think about it is Buddy the Elf. Just picture Buddy the Elf, and again, it helps close your eyes. Picture this. Buddy the Elf is outside of the Empire State Building. He wants to go in and tell Walter Hobbs that he's his son. He wants to disclose information to Walter Hobbs. So he wants to do information disclosure. So to get in the building, he goes into the building. He has to get to the floor where Walter's at. So he has to go in the elevator. And then when he gets in the elevator, if you remember, he actually pushed all the buttons. Pushed all the buttons. Like, just made it look like a Christmas tree. And then when he got into the room, then Walter's like, oh, what is this, a singing telegram? Okay, just whatever. And then when Walter found out that Buddy's like trying to say that he's his son, he asked him to leave the building. The security guards come and take him out. And then Walter takes him to a doctor to see if he's actually his son. So let's go through the mnemonics here. So Buddy wants to disclose information disclosure to Walter Hobbs. Then Buddy gets into the elevator, elevation of privileges. Elevator, elevation of privileges. Then Buddy tampers the buttons on the elevator. So he's tampering. Then when he got upstairs, he spoofed being a singing telegram. Now, he didn't know he was spoofing, so don't argue with me on that. But just think about it. He's spoofing being a singing telegram. That's how he gets in the door. And then Buddy gets escorted out, and he was denied of service to the building. The security guards escorted him out. Then lastly, Walter Hobbs wants repudiation that Buddy's his son. So just walk through those. Information disclosure, outside the Empire State Building. Elevation of privileges, go up the elevator. Tampering, pushes all the buttons. Spoofing, thinks he's a singing telegram. Denied of service, escorted out. Repudiation, goes to the doctor to see if he's actually his son. So that's the STRIDE method. The STRIDE acronym isn't in order with the Buddy the Elf story, but if you write down STRIDE and then go through the story, you'll easily be able to connect the two. All right, so for pen testing, there's 4 things to remember. Five things to remember: scanning, reporting, exploiting, discovery, charter. So you've seen those in the book. How do we remember these? So pen testing. So let's think about again. Close your eyes. Picture that you're sitting on your couch and you lost your pen. You're trying to spin your pen around your thumb. I don't know if anyone can actually do that. I want to learn how. Can't do it. So I'm trying to spin the pen around my thumb, and it launches into the couch. I can't find it. So I start digging in the couch looking for my pen. And as I'm looking through the couch, I find the TV remote. So I take out the TV remote. I start scanning the channels. So what's on the TV? Let's see what's on the TV. There's the first station is reporting on the local news. They're reporting on the local news. What are they reporting? There's a man exploiting several elderly people out of their retirement. Just picture what this man looks like, how evil he looks in his eyes. They're carrying him out, but he's exploiting several old people out of the retirements. So you're like, I can't watch this. This is disturbing. Let me change channel. So the second channel is the Discovery Channel. Discovery Channel captures all kinds of outdoor activity. In this case, they're actually showing a fishing charter in the Chesapeake Bay. So you can picture the boat, just a charter of people out there just fishing and trying to catch fish in the Chesapeake Bay. So your pen testing, you're spinning your pen, you lose it in the couch. When you're looking for your pen, you find the remote, so you start scanning the channels on their reporting, the local news. A man is exploiting several old people. The second, so you get sick, change the channel. The second channel is the Discovery Channel, and it's showing a fishing charter. So those are the fun. All right, so let's talk about SOC audits. There's 3 different kinds of SOC audits to worry about. 4 cybersecurity, 1, but really 3 is the ones that kind of get a little muddy sometimes. So SOC 1. What do you do with one SOC? Not much. You can use one SOC as a wallet. Like if you had one SOC, you can put your wallet and like your money in there. So it could be used for financial stuff. But you definitely don't want to leave the house with one SOC, right? So a SOC audit is about financial. You can use it as a wallet. One SOC you can use as a wallet, but you don't want to leave the house. It's not for public. It's just for you. Now 2 SOC, SOC 2. Now 2 SOCs are a little more complete, but you still want to leave the house with your socks, with just your socks on, right? So 2 socks is definitely a lot more complete than 1 sock, but you still don't want to leave the house in just your socks. That's private. That wouldn't want to be public. Now 3 socks, sock 3. If you really want to leave the house, having a 3rd sock, you know you're ready to face the public. You know that you're sock compliant. You have 3 socks. You have 2 on your feet. You have 1 spare, and so you can really trust that you're ready to go. So sock 3, you have 3 socks, is ready for the public, and it's about trust. You trust that you have that 3rd sock. Now there's a type 1 and a type 2 sock report. Type 1 is 1 point in time. Type 2 is actually over a spread over a period of time. The way I think about that is diabetes. And diabetes 1, type 1, you're born with. At 1 point in time, you're given diabetes 1. Now, diabetes 2, you can actually develop through years of unhealthy habits or whatever the case may be. I'm not trying to judge anyone, just trying to help you to come with mnemonics to pass this test and be a successful cybersecurity analyst. So type 2 diabetes comes over a period of time. So type 1, you have diabetes type 1 at birth. Type 2, you develop over a period of time. So MAC addresses, what can you find in a MAC address is, MAC address basically has 2 parts. Let's split the word MAC into 2. M-A-C. So it has 2. MA is the manufacturer ID. MA stands for manufacturer in my mind. C, MAC, C, I think about cereal. Breakfast cereal, you can think of Snap, Crackle, Pop, whatever you want to think of. So MAC, MA is manufacturer ID. C is the serial number. I know cereal is spelled different for serial number than cereal that you eat, but it's enough to help you remember. So that's my mnemonic there. Now, one thing you'll definitely have on the test is, I'm going to mispronounce this on purpose. I know there's a correct way to pronounce it. I don't actually know what it is. But Bella Padula. Bella Padula. And I did a training with a gentleman from named Patrick, and he's from ghostteamacademy.com. Wanted to make sure I get his URL correctly. Go check him out. We had a phenomenal time with our training. I think he made a huge difference in being able to pass this test. So ghostteamacademy.com. I'll put it in the comments if I ever make this video online. But yeah, so I still remember the way he would say Bella Padula. Bella Padula. And the reason why he says it this way is because it's a funny word. Bella Padula is a funny word. Why is that significant? W-U-R-D, word. Write up, read down. Bella Padula is a funny word. Write up, read down. Now, if I was saying Bella Padula, I wouldn't want my friends to hear me say that. Let's be honest. I would not want anyone to hear me say Bella Padula. I would want that to be confidential. I would want to do it in a quiet room. So Bella Padula is a funny word, and it's focused on confidentiality. So that's one thing to remember. He also talked about Justin Bieber. He had some issues where he was had some issues with the law. So Justin Bieber is rude. R-U-W-D. Write up, read down. So Justin Bieber is rude. We wish he had more integrity, but what can I say? So Justin Bieber is about reading up, writing down, and integrity. Those are the connections there. Clark Wilson is actually an improvement on Justin Bieber. Clark Wilson's an improvement on the Bieber idea. So the way I pictured it is, you can picture Superman, Clark Kent, singing with the band Wilson Phillips, if you want. And picture that they're covering one of Justin Bieber's songs and doing it much better. So Clark, Kent, Wilson, Phillips, improving Justin Bieber's song. So there's that. Graham Denning Um, Obviously, graham crackers is an easy one. So I think about graham crackers. I think about um, it's about subjects, rights, and objects. So I think about graham crackers. They're kind of partitioned into little segments because you have multiple people, you have multiple subjects that want eating rights. Everyone wants their right to some graham crackers. It can be broken into four equal objects. So you have people that want the graham cracker, subjects, rights, they're entitled to have some graham cracker, and the object can be broken into multiple pieces. So subjects, rights, objects. All right, so next one is talking about the NIST cloud. There's 6 aspects that can be on the NIST cloud. The acronym just happens to be MOMBRR. The way I connect it is a cloud. It's raining. You know that when you were playing soccer as a kid or baseball, whatever the sport might be, your mom was there sitting in the rain no matter what. She was unconditionally, she was there for you. So I think about mom burr. She's sitting out in the rain because it's so cold. She's devoted. Mom burr. Rain. Cloud. That's the connection there. So mom burr is the acronym, first letter for all the words. That alone isn't always enough to help me to remember. So I take it a step further and try to unpack it so that if on the day of the test, if I'm getting stressed, I can write down exactly what I need to write down and remember what I need to remember. So I think about, so we already have the connection with mom and the rain. So what happens when it's raining inside or raining outside? If it's raining inside, then you start reading the Bible, I think, because it's crazy time. But yeah, if it's raining outdoors, what do? You have to find activities to do inside. So we're gonna do an activity in every room of the house, maybe most rooms of the house. I don't know how big your house is, but I picked the basic rooms of the house. So we're gonna have a room in the house and an activity that you're doing in there, and this is really helpful to close your eyes to picture you doing these activities, because really test time you'll be able to close your eyes and picture these things and just write these things down. It'd be super easy. It was for me, and I don't have the best memory. That's why I took memory courses, because I really needed to come up with techniques to help me. So this is my motivation. So I'm here helping you hopefully as well. So let's go with the biggest room in the house, the living room. What do you do in the living room? We're gonna have a rubber band gun fight, or rubber band fight in the living room. So picture your siblings, whoever your siblings are. If you don't have any siblings, neighbors, whoever you want to have a rubber band gun fight with. But basically, you're stretching them and you're shooting them as quickly as you can. So the first one is rapid elasticity. So you're rapidly, rubber bands are elastic. So you're shooting your friends. Rapid elasticity. That's the first one. R. So let's go into the next room. Let's go into the dining room. So what we're going to do in the dining room isn't an exciting room, really. There's not a lot to do. There's a table generally in the middle. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a mini swimming pool underneath, and we're going to fill it with balls. We're going to fill it with all those little, like Chuck E. Cheese has, those little plastic balls. And we're going to go underneath the dining room table, and we're just going to play in the balls. And so underneath the table, we're resource pooling. Basically a swimming pool full of balls. Just picture yourself playing with these plastic balls underneath the dining room table. So next room, let's go to the TV room. Now what do we do in the TV room? We watch TV. I mean, it's hence the name TV room. So we're watching Netflix. We're watching on-demand streaming services, right? I mean, it's all on demand. It's all streaming. So the next thing we're remembering is on demand. So far we have rapid elasticity. We have a rubber band gun fight in the living room. Resource pooling. We're playing in the pool in the dining room, and on demand in the TV room. So next one, let's go to the kitchen. Let's go to the kitchen. What are we going to do in the kitchen? There's lines. Let's say your floor in your kitchen has lines, like checkerboard kind of look. So we're gonna stand at one line and we're gonna jump as far as we can. We're gonna try to jump further than our siblings can, and then we're doing a broad jump, and that's what we're doing. So we all start at the same line, broad jump as far as you can. So in the kitchen, we're doing broad. We're doing a broad jump. So that's actually the next thing we're remembering is broad. Washroom. Let's go to the washroom. What are we going to do in the washroom? It's not a lot to do. Have you ever wanted to climb into the washing machine and just kind of spin that thing around, right? Maybe you have. I wonder how many kids would fit in that washing machine. Actually, let's get all of the kids, all the friends, whoever your brothers and sisters, whoever's in the scenario with you, we're all going to try to fit into the washing machine. So the mnemonic here is multi tenancy. So how many people, how many tenants can we fit in the washing machine? Multi tenancy. We're all trying to get into the washing machine. You picture all of you crawling in there. You get a cramp in your leg, you're elbowing your brother, whatever the case may be. Just the more you can visualize, the more you're going to remember, the more this is all going to be second nature. You'll remember it like that. So we've gone through most of the rooms. What else is left? We're going to go out to the garage. My mom says, you guys are annoying the heck out of me. Get out of here. Go to the garage. So what we're going to do in the garage, we're going to take a tape measure. I don't know if you've ever done that, is you try to stretch it to see how far you can get the tape measure to stretch before it collapses. Have you done that before? Generally it's around 3 feet, then it just like collapses. So me and my brother used to have competitions doing just that. So in the garage, we're doing a measured service. Measuring tape, you're trying to stretch the measuring tape as far as you can. So as far as the cloud things that we're remembering to each room. Living room, rapid elasticity. Dining room, resource pooling. TV room, on demand. Kitchen, broad. Washroom, multi-tenancy. Garage, measured service. And I'll be honest with you, when I did my test, I went to write down Mom Burr, and then I was writing down exactly what each one stood for, and I drew a blank on resource pooling. I remember it was something pooling. I couldn't remember which letter it was, but I was able to jot down pooling, and so when if a question came up, I would be able to make that connection. So don't stress out if you don't remember resource. If you remember pooling, you'll be able to make that connection. Another thing that's really important to know is SAML, OpenID, and OpenAuth. I'd really recommend that you know these things before you go take your test. Just a few mnemonics. I wish I had more on this area, but the way I think about it, I think about Sam as being like the doorman at the outside of the hotel, and he's got his mouth open, like he announces when people come in and who to trust. Like he can yell out like a celebrity comes in or something, and he yells out, "Hey, Mr. So and So is here." So I think about Sam as being the doorman with his mouth open. Not a great mnemonic, but it hopefully is enough to help you remember. Connect the two. SAML, OpenID, they're both about authenticating. Now, OpenAuth is given, like if you give your oath to someone, it means you authorize someone to go in. So that's kind of like the Google platform. Like you sign into Google, you can get into like your Google Drive, you can get into your Gmail, you can get into your pictures. So that's authorized. So you're authorized to do all of that kind of stuff. So SAML, OpenID, Sam's got his mouth open. He announces that you're allowed to come in. OpenAuth means that you're allowed to do all the things once you're in. All right, let's move into the OSI model. There's a bunch of mnemonics out there for remembering the OSI model. The first letter sometimes helps. It's not a great mnemonic that I've seen anyway that helps you to understand what the individual units do. So hopefully I'm going to take a level further than what you've heard before to help you actually understand that. And I'm going to take it into an element of being out of shape. So for the OSI model, walk you through a story. So basically, I noticed that I'm getting a little physically out of shape. Like I look in the mirror and I see there's a little bit more stomach than I'd like. So I would jump on the scale. The data on the scale says, yes, you're getting out there. So apparently whatever I'm doing is not right. So what I do is I network with my friends. So again, if you can close your eyes, you can picture this. This is going to make a world of difference if you can visualize it. So I'm networking with my friends. I'm talking to my friends. Okay, what do you do? What do you eat? What kind of recipes? I mean, I'm not doing very well. Um, so what I do is I get some recipes. I take my form of transportation. I get into my car. I go to the health food store, whatever that might be. So Whole Foods, whatever you have near you. You drive to the store. You use your form of transportation. Um, Now, since diet is not the only factor, I have to, like I said, I bought my healthy food, but I have to go to the gym on the way home. I have to go through like a session of some kind, like a class. So I'm going through like this session, this high intensity interval training session, hit session, exercising, getting sweat, moving. Um, and then when I go home, I notice that I've eaten healthy, I've exercised. I notice that I'm actually losing weight. I notice my clothes are fitting better. Like the presentation of my appearance is much better. Like it looks like I'm thinning out. I've got some muscles. My presentation is so great. And honestly, I think I'm doing so good. I'm going to make my own application. I'm going to help. I didn't know what to do, so maybe other people out there don't know what to do. I'm going to make my own application, a fitness application to help other people. Okay, so that's the OSI model. Didn't sound like it, that's what it is. So first you notice yourself a little physically out of shape. Physical is the first step of the OSI model. Physically out of shape. Then I go to the scale. I check the data. So physical, data. I check the scale. From data, I network with my friends. And then from there, I take my form of transportation to go buy some healthy food. Now, since diet's not the only thing, I go to a class. So session is the right up to transport, and then how my clothes fit is the presentation, and then from there I create my own application. So we have physical, data, network, transport, session, presentation, application. All right, so let's take the OSI model a little bit further so we understand what the actual things are on the OSI model. What do they do? You most likely have a question or two about what they do. So knowing what they do definitely helps. So layer one is physical. It's the bits. The way I think about that is a Fitbit. A Fitbit tracks your physical health. Fitbit health. Fitbit physical. So you might notice that your husband, is getting a little overweight. Might need to buy him a Fitbit. So a hub is going to be on the physical layer, and it's dealing with bits. You may have to repeatedly tell your husband that he's gaining weight. So your repeater is on the physical layer. It's on bits. Hubs, physical, bits, repeater, all layer one. So layer two, the data layer. Data layer is about frames. The way I think about that is, what do I do with the information the data about my life that I love the most? I frame it. I take a picture and I frame it on the wall. So what kind of frames do you put up? What kind of pictures do you put up? Now, let's say you go to San Francisco and you see the Golden Gate Bridge. That'd be a beautiful picture to frame. Let's say you go hiking. Switchbacks, go back and forth. Switchbacks, you would hike. You would frame those pictures. So the data layer deals with frames, bridges, switches. Those are the pictures that you want to frame. That's the data that you want to frame for layer two. Layer three is about network. It's about packets. So when you go to a conference, a lot of people have gone to conferences before. You go to all these booths. What do? They give you all these packets of information. They give you so much information. It's and free stuff, which is kind of cool. But packets and packets and packets. They try to network with you. They try to get your information about you, get your email address so they can contact you later. They want to do networking. You can do networking with them because you want to get to know them and what they serve. what they offer, because those relationships definitely help in the long term. Um, and their business cards have their IP addresses, like they have their URL, they have their domains, they have their um, all kinds of stuff. Lots of routes, that you can take to get in contact with them. They've got their Instagram, their Facebook, their YouTube channel. So the network is about packets. Think about going to a conference, you get packets, you network with people, you get their IP addresses, and you get their routers. You get their routes to get to them, which are routers for layer 3. I know some of these are goofy, but picture them, they'll definitely help. Some of them are a bit of a stretch. If it was super easy, someone would have already come up with this video. So that's why I'm here, putting myself out there for your good. So layer 4 is the transport layer, and it deals with segments. So I'm thinking about when you're driving the interstate, when you're transporting of the interstate, the lanes are in segments. There's a slow lane, there's a fast lane, might be a middle lane, but just think about transportation segments. The road has segments, has lines to it. That one's pretty easy. So layer 5 is session, which is about data. Actually, layer 5, 6, and 7 are all about data. The last 3 layers are all about data, so that makes it easier. But when you have a session with your shrink, you lay on the brown leather couch, right, and you have to give them a lot of data. You have to tell them a lot of information so they can figure out what the heck is wrong with you. No judgment, just helping you remember. So layer 6 is presentation. When you give a presentation at work or at school, what do you have to do? You have to give a lot of data. So presentation, giving data. And last layer is application. When you use an application, anything on your phone, what do they capture about you? Data. That's why most of these applications are free, because you're the product. But they capture a lot of data about you. So that's the application layer. All right, so let's talk about all the 802 numbers and letters you have to remember. There's about 5 we're going to cover now. So should be pretty easy, I guess. 802-3, Ethernet. What I think about that is I have so many 3-inch Ethernet cables sitting around. Like every time I bought like a device, like a cable modem or a switch, a router, they all come with like a 3-inch Ethernet cable. So 3-inch, I was saying 3-inch, 3-foot cable. Sorry, I'm not gonna edit that out. I'm leaving it in. So 3-foot Ethernet cable sitting around 802-3, 3-foot Ethernet cable. There we go. 802.1D is spanning tree protocol. The funny thing about that is a D basically looks like the top of a tree. I know it's not super fancy, but think about a tree. That's it. So that's not the best one, but hey, it's something. It's enough to jog your memory. Next one we have is 802.1-X. That's for port-based access control. So the way I picture that one is the dreaded pirate Kerberos. Just picture the dreaded pirate Kerberos. That's his name. He puts an X on the map so he knows where to port. Or you can say he knows where he hid his port, like the drink. It's up to you. But he wants to ensure access control to his buried treasure. So is port-based access control. So the dreaded pirate Kerberos puts an X on the map so he knows where to port to ensure access control to his buried treasure. He doesn't want anyone else to find his buried treasure. He wants to be the only one to access it. So 802-11 is Wi-Fi. The way I think about that, 11 just looks like 2 antennas. You think about your router, probably has 2 antennas on the top. Wi-Fi, that's easy. 802.1Q is QLAN tagging. I think about this QVC, the Home Shopping Network. I don't know if anyone ever watches that, but it's for a very segmented audience. Really, probably 60 to 80-year-old people. I don't know who watches QVC. Not many people, I would guess. But QVC is for a very segmented audience. Q equals VLAN. It's basically for VLAN tagging. So Q is for segmented. VLAN is for like segmenting out your departments. Probably know that at this point. So, all right. So we're gonna go into the kill chain. There's 7 steps to the kill chain: uh, reconnaissance, weaponization, deliver, exploit, install, command and control, action on an object. How to remember those? Walk you through a story. Close your eyes and join me for yet another one of these. So I'm going to the Renaissance Fair, and you can picture yourself if you want to. Just picture yourself in full Renaissance Fair garb. If you're going to the Renaissance Fair, and you see this really cool like weapon, like this really cool sword knife-ish thing that has all these jagged things on it. It's like, yeah, that would look really cool on my living room wall. That would be a good conversation piece. So I want to buy this weapon. But the problem is the Renaissance Fair, they won't let you just carry it around. You can't just buy it and carry this jagged knife through the Renaissance Fair. So they're going to deliver it to your house. They don't want you to walk around with it. They, you know what, we'll deliver it to your house free of charge. Put it down. Just give us the money. Put it down. You'll get it. Trust me. So I get home. I use the weapon to exploit my neighbor's door. I take this big knife and I just like ram it through the lock and like pry it open, exploit the neighbor's door. And then once I open their door, I install software on the computer. I just go up to the computer, I put a USB drive in, and I install this software. And then I go home. I wait for the neighbor to come back home. Now all of this is fictitious. None of this really happened, just a mnemonic. So, but I go back home and I see that I can command and control all of their Internet of Things IoT devices. I can control their Ring. I can control their thermostat. I can control their baby monitor, all that good stuff. So what I do is I proceed to take an action on an object. So I see that they have an Alexa device. So I decide I'm going to loop the song Baby Shark over and over again. Baby, do 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 do. So what have we done? I go to the Renaissance Fair, reconnaissance. I buy a weapon, weaponization. Can't keep it. They deliver it to my house, delivery. I exploit my neighbor's door, pry it open. I install something on his computer. I can command and control his internet devices, and then I take action on an object. I make it play Baby Shark. So that is the kill chain mnemonic. And one thing you'll notice a lot with the protocols out there is they when they make something secure, they add an S, right? HTTP port 80, we all know that, versus HTTPS, which is port 443. They just add an S to it. That's not super secret. It's like, we want to make it secure, just add an S to it. FTP, sometimes they add an S to the front, sometimes they add an S to the back. I don't know why. So it could be S FTP or FTPS. It's like indecisive. Like, I don't know, we're gonna add an S somewhere, front, back. I don't know. But what about for DNS? Like DNS, they want to make it secure. It's like, oh wait, it's already got an S. DNS, I can't just add an S. It already has an S. So what we're gonna do is add sec at the end. So DNS is not secure. DNS sec is secured. Another one that they made secure is Telnet. Telnet they made secure. So the thing about Telnet is the unsecure version. SSH is the secure version. Telnet 23. Never use Telnet. SSH 22. I just think about, should I tell someone? Tell? Shh. No. Tell. Shh. Tell SSH. That's my connection there. All right, so for the software compatibility maturity model, there's 5 steps to it. Initial, repeatable, define, manage, optimized. I think about it, so basically, maturity model. What do models become when they mature? Probably moms, right? As they get older, they probably have kids, they get married, they settle down. So my mnemonic here is IRD mom. I, letter R, letter D, MO, an assumed M at the end. So IRDMO, and then mom. IRD mom. So what's the mnemonic here? So it has to do with mom. So mom is trying to master an apple pie recipe. Close your eyes, picture it. Picture your mom. Um, she initially just threw all the ingredients in. Like she just threw the flour in, threw the sugar in, threw the apples in. Um, Not really a lot of rhyme or reason, just kind of threw in what she thought would make sense. Then she got it down. So what would she wanted to do to make sure she actually had it to a good place is she'd make it repeatable. She wanted to see if she could continue to make the same recipe over and over again, make it repeatable. Then once she felt good about it, she defined her process by writing it down. So she initially threw the ingredients in. She decided to make it repeatable, and then she defined it in writing. And she felt good enough about her process that she let her kids make the pies. So, but she managed the process, right? The kids sometimes take some liberties with their ingredients. Sometimes they mix things up. So she had to manage it. But once she saw how they interpreted her recipe, then she was able to optimize the process to make sure that anyone could follow it. Like if her 4-year-old could follow this recipe, then anyone could follow it. So the steps for software compatibility, capability maturity model is IRD model. She initially threw the ingredients together. Initial, repeatable, defined, managed, and optimized. So IRD mom, the mom is the connection. You should be able to connect that to your mom or someone's mom trying to make an apple pie. All right, just some random things here. Things to remember: GDPR is kind of the European standard. If companies want to adhere to GDPR, there's a high standard. It has to align with Switzerland's privacy rules. So I think about GDPR as a grade point average for privacy. GDPR, grade point average. Another thing is FedRAMP. It's a standardization for cloud products, and the way the government regulates cloud services. So the federal government, their numbers are gonna make a stairway, a ramp to regulate the heavens cloud. So the federal is making a ramp, making a staircase to heaven to regulate the clouds. Those are the connections there. The highest form of like security is using IPsec with ESP and tunneling mode is the highest form of security setting. So the way I think about that is IP. I think about immigration patrollee, security guard used ESP. So to basically see something that he shouldn't have been able to know. Use ESP to know which tunnel to go through to make it to whatever location safely. So immigration patrol security guard, IPsec, use ESP to tunnel to make it there safely. It's kind of goofy, but it works. BIA, BIA is the most important document of all. So I think about just don't be biased. Just know that the BIA is the most important document of all. A honeypot, CISSP kind of has a different version of honeypot than Security Plus and some of the other ones. CISSP says a honeypot is basically to be able to observe an attacker and how they behave. That's what a honeypot is. For CISSP, it's their definition. So that's fine. I just imagine Winnie the Pooh with his big oven mitt sized gloves. How's he gonna try to fit that inside the honey pot to try to eat the honey? Or you're just watching Winnie the Pooh try to get his oven mitt hands inside the honey. Another random one, COOP is the same as DRP. The connection I have there is an egg, like a coop. DRP are the same. I think about a chicken coop and an egg drop. They're both associated with eggs. Chicken coop, an egg drop. Or in a chicken coop, what's the worst thing? The worst day you could have is by dropping an egg. Coop and drop. DRP. Connected. Um, for backups, a CD backup is just backing up the newest data. I think about back in the 90s, 2000s or so, when you got new music, what'd you do? You burn it onto a CD, just the new stuff. So CD backup is just backing up just the newest information. TPM chip is a key on your motherboard and includes full encryption. TRP chip on your motherboard for encryption. Your mother is generally the tender parent, right? It's not always the case, but generally your mother is the more tender parent. So you can trust her with all your important information. So TP, tender parent, motherboard. That's the connection. HSM is a USB version. USB drive is a small piece of hardware. So hardware small. HSM, hardware small. That's it. You probably heard the 3-2-1 copies. The backup, you want 3 copies, 2 kinds, 1 off-site. I just think your chief knowledge officer, your CKO, should make sure you know the order of CKO. Chief knowledge officer, copies, kinds, off-site. Let's talk about the ring model and software perspective. There's 4 rings. Ring 0, which is the OS security kernel. Ring 1, device drivers. Ring 2, system utilities. Ring 3 is applications. Easiest way I find to remember that is ring 0, a popcorn kernel, is a single round object. Pretty easy. O, like an operating system, is a single round circle. So really, you must protect the circle, the ring, my precious, right? So single ring 0 is the kernel, it's the operating system. That's the one you need to protect. It's the most important one. Ring 1 is device drivers, DD. I think Dunkin' Donuts. If I have a cup of Dunkin' Donuts, I leave it on the furniture. It's going to leave 1 ring on the furniture. So I leave a cup of Dunkin' Donuts coffee on the furniture. It leaves a single ring. Goofy, it works. Ring 2 is utilities, system utilities. What I think about it is like an electrical outlets. You think about the wall plate. It has the 2 circles on it. So that's a utility. Electrical utility is your wall outlet. It's got 2 circles. You can also think of your kitchen sink. Utility would be water too. Your kitchen sink probably has 2 round circles to it. So that's another one you can use. And then ring 3, I think about like the Skype logo. It's got 3 rings. It's got a circle, then 2 like subcircles around it. So Skype is an application that uses 3 circles as its logo. So ring 0 is the OS and security kernels. Ring 1 is device drivers. Dunkin' Donuts coffee leaves 1 ring. A ring 2 is system utilities. Utilities, electricity, or your sink. And then ring 3 is application. Think Skype application's got 3 rings. You can look up the logo if you want to help you to remember. All right, so for secure control categories, it's kind of a goofy one, but it works. I think about, I don't know if you've ever done this before, but at like a team building thing, they give you a bunch of straws. You have to build this thing, right? And if it's team building, sometimes there's competition. There's other teams that you're working against, and so you need to build this thing quicker than them. You don't want them to figure out your secrets. That's my mnemonic for this portion. So I think about an event where I'm building a tower out of straws, and so when we're building the tower out of straws, the reality is sometimes it just kind of starts leaning. So what do you do when it starts leaning? You have to like start taking corrective action. So you might compensate a little bit by adding an extra straw or something on the side to to counterbalance the weight. And then when you're doing all these clever things, you notice like you might detect that other people are like listening in. Like you can listen to, you can see other people that are like looking at your idea. So what you want to do is you want to deter them. You want to keep them from seeing your idea. So maybe you hold up a board. Um, so they can't directly see what you're doing. Maybe a poster board on one side of your beautiful straw structure, poster board, so they can't see it. So prevent them from stealing your ideas. And so which works out great until your straw thing falls over at the end, which it normally does. Let's be honest, and then you have to recover it. That's just the way that game works. So that's the security control categories. To recap what we talked about, so if it keeps leaning, you have to take corrective actions, corrective measures. Corrective is one control. Compensating, so it's leaning, you have to compensate for it leaning, and then you detect that people are trying to copy you, so you deter them with a poster board so they can't directly see your project. We prevent them from stealing the idea, and then we recover our thing once it falls. So it's corrective, it's compensating, it's direct, it's deter, it's detect, deter, direct, prevent, recover. I'll go through this again because I messed it up. Corrective, compensate, detect, deter, direct, prevent, recover. There's a few threat models, but three big threat models are stride, pasta, and dread. To connect those three, I stride over to Olive Garden, eat too much pasta, and then dread having to walk back out to the car. Stride over to Olive Garden, eat too much pasta, and then dread having to walk out to the car. Stride, pasta, dread. All right, so HI trust. I don't know how these things are actually correctly pronounced. I read them out of a book, so just bear with me. But HIT trust, HITURST, high trust. I don't know. It's basically associated with healthcare. So I think about it, if you got hit really hard. Let's say you got hit in the head with a baseball bat. Where would you go? Right? You'd go to a doctor. You go to the hospital. So hit. Who would you trust? If you got hit, you trust a hospital, healthcare. That's it. ITIL, ITIL, is British private sector thing. Apologize for my British accent; it's not very good. But I think ITIL, it's ITIL. It's a bit. So just take a little bit. You can do better. I know it. Forgive me. But I think ITIL, British. It works. Bluetooth Area Network, IEEE 802-15. There's only 3 E's. I just got carried away. 802-15. So Bluetooth 802-15. Bluetooth really only works for about 15 feet. Like you get too far away, it's just going to cut out. So that's quick mnemonic there. Corba is a common object request broker architecture. It's interoperability between hardware and software. So if you had a piece of hardware and you wanted to create a piece of software or something to interact with it, what would you probably use? Most software developers would probably just use Python because it's quick and easy. It's easy to understand. It's relatively universal, not a niche market. So a lot of people use Python to interact with hardware because it's quick. So Cobra deals with both hardware and software. So does Python. So that's my connection there. DAC is discretionary. Basically, the owner decides. DAC, access control, discretionary access control. The owner decides what's going on. So I don't know what your house would look like, but generally the dad of the house makes a lot of decisions. I know it's not that case as much these days, but it's a mnemonic. Don't judge me for my connections. I'm just giving you a mnemonic. So, but the dad is the head of the household. Dad gets to say what goes on. So DAC, dad, discretionary. The owner decides. That's That's it. KDD is a knowledge discovery in databases. It's basically something that's been there in the database and you just discover it. So I just think KDD. Are you kidding me? Has that information been there the whole time? KDD? Are you kidding me? That's my mnemonic. Um, this one kind of tripped me up. MPLS. So I had a sample question in my CISSP book um, that asked me what layer MPLS was, and it was at 2.5. And I didn't remember running across 2.5 anywhere in my studies. Probably missed it. It was 1,200 pages in the book, so I mean, there's a lot of information. I could have missed it. So, but that kind of tripped me up. So I think about MPLS. It almost sounds like pimples. Imples, pimples. Pimple is what? A little dot. So I think about impulse is a little dot. It's got two. It's the only thing that has a layer 2.5. It's the only layer with a dot in it. Pimples dot. That's it. One thing is software defined network, SDN. It separates the network into three components: raw data, how the data is sent, and the purpose of the data server. So it takes your data and segments it into three different areas. SDN segments data. When I see SDN, I think sand, like a sandbox, and most of us probably know what a sandbox is. Sandbox kind of separates something out to make sure that it's isolated from the rest of our network for testing or whatever purpose. But sandbox is an isolation. So if you see SDN, think sandbox, think what's the benefit of the software defined network SDN? It separates your network into three components. It separates it. So for zero trust, we're seeing more questions about zero trust, I think, these days. So the 7 pillars of zero trust. So I think about the way I think about it is it's UD, AND, VA. So I think about, I'm in Virginia. So the weather here is just crazy. It's ups and downs all the time. So I think UD, ups and downs, AND, the word and, VA, Virginia. The weather here in Virginia is just crazy. So the steps of zero trust is user, devices, application, network, data, visibility, automation, or orchestration. So U D A N D V A. So if you want a little bit more, let's go ahead and close your eyes. Let's do another visualization. I know how much everyone loves these. Hopefully you're not in public and everyone's looking at you and thinking you're falling asleep. But here's the story. So we have a user. We have a person, a user that comes to our building, and they bring a bunch of gadgets. They bring a bunch of devices, and they want to use a bunch of apps, applications to search our network. They want to exfiltrate our data, and we have to keep an eye on them. We have to keep visibility on him to ensure he doesn't leave a logic bomb, an automation orchestration. Short little mnemonic. Hopefully it's enough. So we have a user that brings devices to use applications to search our network. We want to exfiltrate data, so we have to keep visibility on them so they don't do automation or orchestration. All right, so now I'm going to tie a bunch of these mnemonics into one big mnemonic. And what I did when I took the test, you can do this if you want to. In hindsight, I don't think I would have done this for the test, but you can do it if you want to. It did help me for practicing. So I have a mnemonic. It's a story, and each piece of the story is a mnemonic that I covered previously in this video. So I took a piece of paper, I folded it into 9 pieces, and I wrote one word from each story in each box, flipped it over, wrote more words, and then put that aside and try to spell out what those word mnemonics actually stood for. Would I do it on the test? I did it. I wouldn't recommend it. What I would recommend is at least spelling out on your, when you take the test, you'll get a dry erase board or scrap paper or something like that. I would spell out the, if nothing else, the OSI model. Write that down. Right, unless you know it like the back of your hand. Good for you. Um, but I would just write it down on a piece of paper because there are questions, probably questions about it, and I found it helpful to have that visual. But that being said, close your eyes. Let's do this one last time. All right. So just picture there's a mom. Could be your mom, could be a friend's mom, any mom. And she's looking at her Apple phone. Like she's staring at her Apple phone, and it's raining outside. Um, she's sitting at a train station, waiting for a train from Maryland. Like it's raining. The mom's sitting on a bench. She's got her Apple phone out. She's having trouble seeing the screen because it's raining. She has to keep wiping it down. She's sitting on a cold bench. She's waiting for a train from Maryland. Her friend is going to come meet her, and they're going to go to the Renaissance Fair together. So her friend's going to come to the train station. They're going to go to the Renaissance Fair. They have so much fun. So she starts thinking about, at the Renaissance Fair, she's been to so many Renaissance Fair. Actually, she met her husband at a Renaissance Fair. Her husband's actually out fishing right now. He likes to fish in the rain. He uses a fishing line that he likes to use like 32 braids on his fishing line. So that's his technique. But so she's sitting there, she's thinking about her husband, and she starts spinning her ring around on her finger. And she knows it's pretty tight. And she starts thinking, you know what? I wonder if I've gained weight since I got married. Like it's easy to do. None of us are gonna judge her in this story. We're just accepting her for who she is, where she is. But she's thinking, have I gained weight? Am I out of shape? We know she's beautiful the way she is, right? But that's what she's thinking. As she's playing with her wedding ring, she drops it on the ground. Like it bounces a couple times. So she goes to the ground to pick up her wedding ring, and she sees three round objects. Round objects. They're very similar in shape, very similar in size. There's three of them. There's a pen, there's a Camel cigarette, there's a straw. There's a pen, a Camel cigarette, and a straw. So she picks up the straw, and she's like, you know what? I remember when I was a kid, I used to shoot like spit wads out of these things. Like used to ball up something and shoot something out of it. So she takes this straw and she's like, I'm gonna shoot like a little wad of something. So she looks around, what am I gonna shoot it at? And she sees a Buddy the Elf musical poster on the wall. And she's like, I'm gonna shoot a spit wad at that poster. I'm gonna see if I can stick it right on his head. Then her phone rings. Right when she's about to shoot the Buddy the Elf poster with her straw, her phone rang. It's actually a Justin Bieber ringtone, which I would give you a Justin Bieber song if I knew any of them. But that's her ringtone. Whatever Justin Bieber song comes to mind, that's the right one for you. It's her friend. Her friend's calling, and she's like, oh my goodness. I missed the train because I lost my car keys. I missed the train because I lost my car keys. That's our story. It was pretty quick and simple, but I'm going to unpack what all that means. So let's walk through our story. If you want to grab a piece of paper, you want to fold it into 9 pieces, just pause the video, do it, and then we're going to write something in each box, and then those boxes will actually be unpacking into other mnemonics that we covered earlier in the video. So we have a mom, and she's playing on her Apple phone. So mom, I think IRD mom, that was one of our mnemonics earlier for the software maturity model, software capability maturity model. She's playing on her Apple phone, so her Apple phone has software on it, so that's kind of the connection there. But also, our mnemonic for IRD mom was her making an apple pie. And so you've got the connection with mom, playing with software, Apple. So those 3 things bring it together to write at the top of that box, you would write IRD mom. And then from there, you would try to spell out what the steps were. What does I stand for? What does R stand for? What does D stand for? What does M stand for? What does O stand for? And then you go through that visualization of her making the apple pie. Initially, she tried something, then she made it repeatable. So you go through those individual steps. So the next thing is, so you have the mom playing with her phone. She's sitting in the rain. And remember, I don't know if you remember earlier, we talked about a mom sitting in the rain. Why is she sitting in the rain? She's watching the soccer game. It's cold outside. So mom burr. She's in the cold. She's wet. We have that mnemonic for mom burr, which was the NIST cloud characteristics. If you go back in the video, if you go back in your mind, what happens when it's raining outside? We have to find activities to do in the living room, dining room, TV room, garage, washroom, kitchen. Broad jumps in the kitchen. So in the second box, you would write mom burr, MOMBRR, and see if you can remember what those 6 letters stood for. Now the next box in our story is she's at the train station. And the train station was one of the first things we talked about, FRR, which was you were trying to pick up your friend, but you were at the wrong station. So it was the right friend, but they weren't able to get a ride home. So we denied the wrong person. And so that's where you can make a note about what FRR stands for, what FAR stands for, and things like that. Now, where's our friend coming from? Coming from Maryland. So that's your next box down, 4th box. Maryland. That's where you would write down what the hashes were. And then you'd write down like MD5, write down different hashes. Next box is her friend coming from Maryland. Why is she coming from Maryland? They're going to go to the Renaissance Fair together. And so that's your kill chain. That's where I wanted to buy a weapon. They wouldn't let me carry it around, so they shipped it to my house. So you go through the Renaissance Fair story. Write those down. Now she's thinking about the Renaissance Fair. What does she think about? She thinks about her husband. That's where she met her husband at the Renaissance Fair. That was a little more obvious because I mentioned 32 braids. So he's out fishing. So 32 braids. I want to fish for blowfish, but there's a sea serpent, C-A-S backwards. I've got an idea. Actually, 3 ideas. I'm going to throw 3 RC cola cans, RC3, RC6. So I have 6 packs, sorry. And so those are the mnemonics there. Now the next box is, so she's thinking about her husband. She's thinking about she's playing with her ring. She remembers that they got married. She's fiddling with her ring. She starts playing with it. And so that's your ring model. That's where you say, hey, ring 0 is a kernel. It's the OS model. It's the most important. My precious. I got to protect my precious. And then OS ring 1 would be 1 ring left when you pick up your your Dunkin' Donut coffee mug. It's sitting on the furniture, and it leaves 1 ring. 2, 3, write all that stuff down. The next one, she starts realizing that she may be thinking she's out of shape. She's not. We know that, but that's what she's thinking. We're not judging her. So out of shape, she starts thinking of the OSI model. You start thinking about physically. You physically think you're out of shape. Then you go to the data. You go to the scale. You see what the data says. You start networking with your friends. Write all those down. So she drops her ring on the ground. And then what does she see? She sees 3 round objects. She sees a pen. If you remember pen testing, we start thinking about you dropped your pen, you're trying to spin the pen, trying to do that trick. If you can teach me how to do it, great. I still haven't been able to figure it out. So you drop your pen and it goes into the couch. And so you find the remote. And then you start flipping through the channels and seeing what's on there. So write those down. What was that story? What did those connections do? And you see a Camel cigarette. What do we have with it? What connection do we have with the Camel? We have a European cross-country camel race, ECC El Gamal RSA, cross-country camel race. And then the last object we have is a straw. And what do we remember about a straw? We made a straw tower, terrible straw tower that we had to recover at the end. We Just went through that story not long ago. So that's the connection there. So you picked up the straw. What do? We try to shoot at a poster of Buddy the Elf, and he's got his pose where he's off to the side. He's striding. Like we've all seen the picture of Buddy the Elf like walking. He's striding. So write down stride, and then write down what. Just go through that story. He's outside the Empire State Building. He wants to do information disclosure. He takes the elevation of privileges, pushes all the buttons, and so walk through that story. Write down all those steps. And her phone rings, and it's Justin Bieber. Well, it's not Justin Bieber. Her ringtone's Justin Bieber. And so then you take a moment to write down, all right, what's Biba? What's Bella Padula? Right? Write that stuff down. What does that mean? And then her friend says she can't come. Why? Because she lost her car keys. That's when you start thinking about the key exchange. So we know about the European cross country camel race. And then what happens at the camel race? They stream someone winning Hellman mayonnaise, Diffie Hellman. So that's the key exchange. So if you walk through all these stories, I know it's a long video. I know it feels goofy to close your eyes and visualize it, but I really think this is going to help. So if you have any others, just let me know what they are. I'm happy to revise the video, make more. Or if you have another topic that you're trying to study and you're like, I'm not getting this, it's not clicking, just reach out to me. I'm happy to kind of work through this. I've tried ChatGPT for doing stuff like this. It's not very good yet. Maybe 5 years from now it'll be much better, but at finding mnemonics and finding stories, it's terrible. So if you're having trouble with finding something, there's not a lot of automation resources for doing that for you. So just reach out to me and let me know. I'm happy to help out. But good luck with your CISSP. If I do post this on YouTube, I'm not asking you to like or subscribe, but maybe if you do take the test and you do pass, and this video helped you to get one question right, or maybe a dozen questions right, just come back and put something in the comments. Just be encouraging to other people if this does help you. Because the CISSP is overwhelming. I want this to be as easy as it can for people. So just come back, put something in the comments, encourage the next person, pass it along, and hopefully this was helpful, and hope everyone has a great day.